There was a few question marks on the map there for JDG, but hey, they were answered in this one, and we'll see if they can be answered yet again in Game 4, as of course, TT lost the last game, so they will select the blue side, and actually banning out the Blitzcrank. That's quite interesting to me. I'm wondering if they want to play like a Jinx Lulu comp, something that we have really seen TT index towards, and something that is contested between 1xN and Peyz.
Yeah, especially the Jinx, because that's a hyper carry that's both on 1xN and Peyz's kind of top priority lists if you want to play a game
Jinx.
and a composition that is more indexed towards playing through bot lane and letting the bot lane have the keys to the kingdom. And the Lulu first pick just might be the answer, considering that Jinx may not be the only hyper carry that both teams have an option for. There is a Kog'Maw that's on the table for Peyz, and so maybe they think, yeah, we take the Jinx, but they can still take Kog'Maw Lulu. So by denying the ideal support pairing for a hyper carry, this puts ThunderTalk in a better position for the draft.
I mean, not just that, but also you have other options to pair up with the Lulu, like a Zeri, as well, which, like, in Vi might actually be a little bit better than the Jinx, depending on the piece. Like, Zeri can be a little bit more self-sufficient in that area. So I'm curious what kind of answer we get from Missing, because Nautilus is the hook champ that's gone. Blitzcrank was banned. Thresh is not great in the Lulu. You just kind of get stat checked, and Polymorph can play around it. So we're going to have to find a different way to beat it. Wondering if we could see something like a Kate Lux come out from Peyz and Missing, or if it ends up being that Ziggs, where I know that you've joked a lot about seeing LeBron Peyz, but whatever it is, we'll see the answer later on.
The other thing I like about Ziggs being locked in with the Vi is that you have a guaranteed Mega Inferno Bomb set up, because the Vi ultimate is going to lock down the target, and so you can get the maximum amount of damage from a Ziggs chucking a 3-pointer from across the map. But they're not going to lock in the Ziggs just yet. But by locking in this Yone, it guarantees something for who I imagine should be Scout's Yone. And you already alluded to how powerful this champion can be in his hands, but good call on the Zeri. That's a great way to answer Vi, because if she ults you, well, you skate past the wall, and suddenly your Vi is taking a longer trip than she intended.
Might see an Akali here for SeTab if he wants to match the Yone. You have Akali and Silas available as a couple of the better answers. We have usually seen this be paired up with a
The coach is hyping him up for it.
Yeah, SeTab's Akali, it's been fantastic. So that will be the pick. In terms of the Xayah hover, maybe that was a little bit of a prediction of what Peyz might go for. The thing is that we need magic damage in the comp for JDG. TT's not they're squishy enough where you can maybe get away with it, but with Hoya having blind and mostly playing tanks, I still think that taking something like a Ziggs would be warranted, or even something like a Maokai here. I would like Maokai actually a lot in this draft. You have an R key to try and attack the Zeri Lulu again from range, follow up with the Vi. It brings the magic damage that your comp is missing at the moment. And you are way too tanky for Akali to deal with as this game goes on. So if you can have other people deal with the Zeri Lulu and just be a menace and really keep Akali busy, I think it's a nice thematic pick for JDG.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing, too, that's just always super valuable on a Maokai is you have a point-and-click route with the W, and it will follow wherever the champion goes. And for something like, obviously, the Zeri, you want to have the double up just in case the Vi ultimate is not always available. But it's also a way for dealing with the Akali, who is another very frisky and mobile champion that can be very hard to lock down with just skill shot or static CC. But now that you have two forms of point-and-click lockdown, that gives JDG more tools to try and handle some of these more annoying champions to deal with in these fights.
No jungler showing yet for TT. I think the Wukong taking that away, taking away one of the tank busting junglers is a good call. Another pick to potentially protect the Vi coming out now. Vi is a really high priority pick actually to get in a game 4, so that is going to feel pretty good for Shun. As Beichuan, actually targeting Hoya here. He has played the Mordekaiser. That's a pretty positive matchup into the Maokai, so I like that deny. It would have over-indexed them a little bit on magic damage, but being able to remove one of the members of the fight is sometimes really nice for something like Zeri Lulu.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get pressured. But yeah, the magic damage AD is available. Both the Kai'Sa and the Ziggs taken off the board. We could be relegated now to what was being hovered earlier. It could just be a Xayah Rakan coming in late here. But I do really like the Lulu into Rakan matchup. I'm kind of wondering what Peyz is going to end up with. But it feels like he has to, pick either Kate or Xayah here, I feel like, are the options. Okay, Karma. We can wait.
You know, what are the odds that this Karma is guaranteed support?
I think it's pretty high. You're running Enchantress plus tank top. I do think the Karma it's pretty good here, and you have a way to actually play for push into the Zeri Lulu now. So
sure.
I think it sets up more for the Kate coming out from Peyz, but they just want to. They have options. They can save that for later. Meanwhile, we are talking about jungle picks being narrowed up quite a bit. It's going to be a Beichuan Pantheon. We have seen Pantheon's support with the Heartsteel be played a lot, but in LPL, that thing is in the jungle. We're going Shojin. We're going Sundered Sky, Cleaver. We're playing to fight, and that's what Beichuan's looking to do this game.
Yeah, and Shun has played his fair share of Pantheon jungle. I think Tien was the first one to bring it out in the LPL as a jungle pick, and we were all astonished and kind of marveling to see that, hey, you know, Pantheon got a lot of love slowly over multiple patches, and finally it's at a state where, yeah, he's not, you know, a Vi or a Wukong in terms of, like, you know, priority junglers that you want to secure for them yourselves, but when the other options are eliminated, Pantheon suddenly becomes really strong in the landscape where all the other champions are gone. And the way that JDG have wrapped up their composition, it's not the Kate Lux, but it is the Kate with the Karma, so this gives them a little bit of long range to somewhat safely follow up on the heavy dive that JDG have in their top 3-man core.
Yeah, and I gotta say, that Kate's gonna have a tough game, because you've got Akali and Pantheon that can both get Galio into the backline, and then you have a Zeri Lulu to at least try and make sure that you're able to follow up if you're 1xN. I think that Kate's gonna have a really difficult time this game, so really important that JDG is able to get a lead bot early, and we'll see if it ends up being a 2v2 matchup, or if we get a lane swap, which I do think is a little bit beneficial for ThunderTalk in this case, because I don't think you want to face the Kate Karma level 1. That's going to be really tough as Zeri Lulu. You get super outranged early on. So let's see if either team can get some scouting wards and predict the lane matchup, because if you're JDG, I think very strongly you want the 2v2, and if you're ThunderTalk, you do not want that at all. So level 1 potentially going to matter a lot, and the level 1 is really bad for ThunderTalk. So let's see if JDG can do a good job of making sure that they're able to properly scout where ThunderTalk is and get the right lane assignment for them.
This is match point for JDG. Win this game, and all your troubles for this series are over. You get to move on to the upper bracket final, where you get to await the winner of Anyone's Legend and Ninjas in Pajamas, which is going to be the best of 5 that will play right after this. If you guys didn't know, we actually have 2 best of 5s playing tonight. Long broadcast. Shout out to our shout out to our producer Chippy, who is in for the long haul tonight. 07 soldier, as JDG answering the invade from ThunderTalk as they go onto the top side of the map looking for vision. They get some vision of themselves on the bottom side of the map in this red quadrant. So exchanged wards in both red quadrants of the jungle. Still questioning where each team is going to start.
Yeah, I mean, Zeri Lulu are deploying mid. I think that they have to walk top here. As Peyz and Missing, they don't have enough time to get top off the swap, and that will be the case. So this, for me, is advantage TT early on, because they are going to be able to have at least the 2v1. Yes, the 2v1, you know, it's better bot, but opting out of this matchup, I think, is very important if you are ThunderTalk. Because you need to get at least a little something going for this Zeri Lulu before you can face the Kate Karma level 1. You see how strong that Karma level 1 is.
Yeah.
As Missing playing this, I will say, a strength of Missing as a player, I do think that Missing, like, lanes decently well and is actually pretty good at playing the Enchantresses. Like, historically, the Lulu, the Karma, when he was playing with, I believe it was Hope even, like, way back when, was pretty good.
Pre-ruler.
Yeah, like pre-ruler. I thought this was a strength of Missing, so this is a little bit of comfort for him. I know that I've been a little bit hard and somewhat rightfully so on Missing the series, but potential for a good setup going into this one.
Yeah. Well, JDG have taken the opposite side of the map into ThunderTalk, where Peyz is getting solo XP laning by himself, whereas 1xN and Feather are splitting the experience on the top side of the map, and Shun is just full clearing the entire bot side jungle. Will probably retreat back into his blue side. Shun, or Beichuan I should say, is answering on the top side, full clearing JDG's own red quadrant jungle. And there's no one that's catching the waves on the top side of the map, so there's neither team that is in danger of having a player of theirs getting dove this early on. So it's just an exchange of multiple blades.
Big thing from this is going to be always going to lose his TP. Hoya walked up and doesn't have a shop, or is always going to base and TP. So we'll be TP advantage top, potentially. But overall, this is somewhat necessary if you are TT going into the Kate Karma lane. Again, the first couple levels, that's so dire for just this lane in general. Like the Kate Karma double outranges you. It's really tough to play. And it's still going to be hard, but it does get a little bit easier now that they at least have a base and actually have base advantage against Peyz and missing. So they're not really starved out too bad here. Oh, 1xN didn't miss cannon, so that feels bad.
-1 in the chat. Unlucky for 1xN.
Also, Awe did walk back, so still preserves the TP advantage later on.
That's not too bad. Well, we're a couple of minutes away from dragon spawning, and then, you know, another minute added on for the first rotation of grub spawning. A little curious to see which teams really feel strong about taking grubs early on. I kind of favor JDG since you have so many ways to lock down priority targets here. And I don't know if 1xN and Feather really want to, or at least 1xN doesn't want to rotate for a first rotation of grubs, whereas if you bring a Kate over, maybe that becomes even more convincing for JDG to secure it.
I know we usually see the bot lane swap top. I actually wouldn't hate this game if the Kate Karma went mid, and then you just get to poke a little bit before grubs. If that's the case,
control mid,
then,
right?
Yeah, if that's the case, then I do favor the JDG grub setup. But the lockdown, yes, the Maokai plus Yone, if you do get 6, you know, can be really nice for lockdown against what TT has, but I'd be pretty scared of a Kali 6-2 plus Galio. Pantheon, that point click stun can be quite valuable. So
sure.
Easy backline access for TT. I think if it's an even health bar fight, could be close. That said...
Uh-oh. Hoya's in trouble. Good flash, maybe. Wow, it's actually enough to distance themselves since JDG have no more tools to close the distance.
Yeah, you can see Hoya, he actually just as punched forward, but because he caught Vi, that E actually moved him back a bit, and then he flashed out while CCing the Vi. Very well played by Hoya. We have seen his Galio already in the LPL split. He's good at like utilizing the E, which for me is the biggest mechanical skill expression you can have on this champion. It was very sound in that game, even though they did drop the game for ThunderTalk. So good to see Hoya showing some of that in this one, going up against JDG.
Top laner now down a flash. We'll see if that impacts ThunderTalk's setup or challenge at the grubs. Coming up in the next 30 seconds here, we got Shun taking a base, or actually just canceling the base. Beichuan moving himself towards the top side of the map. We'll probably get a chance to clear out his Gromp before he looks to move. 1xN and Feather, though, are already moving in position to support this.
Peyz is still bot as grub spawns. This really surprises me. I mean, this is JDG signing up to not fighting the first grubs and instead just getting another plate on the Peyz and the dragon. Vi does rip through the dragon with the denting blows, but I think that they view the level 6s at the top side of ThunderTalk and are a little bit scared. So they're actually going to opt in for the swap and take that trade. I think it's okay for JDG. Again, my concern this game is that if a Kate Karma are not just crazy far ahead, I think it's really tough for them to play into the Panth, Galio, and Akali that will be in their backline. So JDG maybe realizing that, doing all they can to make sure that Peyz has a good early game, and that BF Sword Kate doing some serious work on the bot lane turret as they play for first break.
Yeah, that just might be the play for JDG, where they're trying to accelerate Peyz's first item spike as fast as possible, and then going back to what you predicted, moving Peyz and missing into the mid lane, where now you just have full control of the mid wave. Hang on. SeTab. Not in trouble. I thought for some reason Beichuan was a Shun. That's my bad. But Scout using the Fate Seal to escape what could have been certain death. All was trying to punt Feather into the turret, but neither of the two champions took aggro, so they're totally fine. And Hoya is trying to hold on to this bot turret as long as possible. But with the range advantage that Peyz has on this Caitlyn, I don't think this turret is going to last long.
Has 6. If Pantheon ults in, though, you get a free trap as the Caitlyn. So I think it's a little bit scary if that happens, as 2 more tower shots. That tower, no grubs, so they won't be able to stick around and get the bleed, but you gotta imagine one more wave and that thing is gone. I actually really want to see Beichuan attack mid. Scout went Hex Drinker, and with Pantheon, the point and click, you guarantee that you can get the flip from Akali to land, and SeTab already has an ult advantage. So I think a revisit very much warranted from TT mid. Instead, though, they're actually going to TP bot. Beichuan, yeah, here comes the ult. They're doing everything they can to stop the turret.
Well, Hoya launches forward. They already got the flash out of missing, but the lockdown is great, and the traps are not enough to stop Beichuan and Hoya. First blood goes over to ThunderTalk.
I mean, again, if you are playing Peyz, you can prep the trap at Pantheon's feet when he lands. I didn't see the trap come out from Peyz, and instead it's just missing. Burn both some, still goes down. No 6 for missing. Meanwhile, 7s for Hoya and Beichuan. So ThunderTalk make that first blood look easy.
Yeah, and I think it's just because Hoya stepped up, right? Once you step up, Peyz is forced to step backwards, and I don't know what the range is on Caitlyn traps, but it might have just been that Peyz didn't feel safe enough to try and ward off Beichuan's entrance.
It's about your auto range is what we're looking at, as we do see a nice Q from Peyz that's going to prevent the base, kill some of the tempo of Hoya, and should net first brick on this wave. So it was a good defense to at least delay it one time for ThunderTalk. Buys Darius some time. We do see a reset did come in from 1XM, looking like it's going to be a Yuntal's rush for 1XM. We still going to have to see if Peyz ends up going for that one as well. Peyz going to let the tower kill off. Okay. It wouldn't matter if he didn't touch this wave, but going to take this wave too. Peyz going to be really, really, really rich, though, after taking this tower. As
wow.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of money.
Yeah, tactfully letting the turret execute every last minion, denying as much gold and XP as possible. And 1XN is not going to have the same chance to take a turret of his own, since a teleport is coming in. Missing is going to support Ala on the defense of this turret. Shun, nowhere near, as he's pathing towards the bottom side of the map. Beichuan supporting on the top side, just in case things got a little frisky. But second rotation to Grubs actually spawning in the next minute. I'm curious, now that JDG have gotten a Yuntal completed for Peyz, if he's going to join and try and contest for the second rotation.
It's still a little bit of time to scale up on that item, of course, but actually opting to not go for the collector this time around as Peyz, instead focusing a little bit more on the crit, the frontline duty. I will say Kate, especially late game, those headshots do hit very hard. A lot of the times people now think of Kate as, hey, we get collector, we're strong then. And if we stay ahead of the game, then we hit IE first. Like, you know, we can be really strong early on. But if you go for the Yuntals into IE, if we do end up seeing that from the Kate, I mean, those headshots, again, do very significant damage for Peyz. So definitely a little bit more of a traditional carry setup on a champ that is played for a lot of early game priority. And we'll see if Peyz can continue to keep the pressure up. Because so far, the focus on making sure that he is alone and doing work on the turrets has been good. But this is where we might see a fight. Second Grubs have spawn. JDG has group. SeTab is not really spotted.
He's waiting for a target other than missing to walk up so that he could threaten an assassination. A flash from Ala follows with a twisted advance, punts him backward, but Shun can't get in range before SeTab flashes over the wall. Scout with the re-engage. Fate sealed, hits 2 members, and he's dealing a decent amount of work, but here comes Hoya Zero's entrance. It splits up the fight. Shun is completely in deep waters, forced to flash over the barren wall. All now in trouble, but Beichuan forced to flash away as well, and Peyz is just ripping them apart with these headshots. Oh, but the ace in the hole is not going to find Beichuan before he escapes with the Grand Starfall. Somehow, ThunderTalk only managed to lose 1 member in the trade, but JDG winning the fight and netting 2 of the 6 Grubs.
Yeah, I have to watch that one back, honestly. I got a little bit lost because 1XN, I saw Shun miss a Q on him, and I thought Zeri would be okay and able to pilot the fight from there. But maybe it was the item differential that came through because Peyz just did so much more damage. I don't know if it was that or the setup, but first fight does go JDG's way, and they prevent the 6 Grubs. It is 4-2, so 1 Grub might will spawn, but frankly, I needed a second look at this one. Because I don't mind the idea from Ale to get the Akali. If you get Akali first, I think that's nice for JDG. And the opening's good. Beichuan goes in a little bit early. They weren't able to get Scout. I think if the point-and-click pant stun could have connected on Scout, that would have been big. Instead, Scout was able to get a lot of work done and got out. And I guess the front line of Shun Ale, too tanky for this Harry Lulu to deal with at the moment. SeTab wasn't super effective in that fight either because he spent a lot of his spells running instead of killing. So a nice engage from Ale. I think that was very much warranted and set up JDG for success in that fight.
Yeah, definitely looked funky for the first flash, but just because he lost vision of SeTab in the brush, but still managed to force the fight that JDG wanted. And I think for the ThunderTalk, it just goes to show that this is where the power discrepancy of the 80 carries at this early on in the stage really tends to show, because Zeri didn't really feel like she was pumping that much damage, whereas Peyz unaffected and unimpacted whatsoever, was just really putting the threat down. And I know we've memed about like Caitlyn power troughs in the past, and a shout out to Cyanide for the famous desk bit all those years ago. If you don't know, you should look that up. It's a fantastic
that's an old school reference there. That's a bit of a reach.
Dude, I can't even quote it because I would not do it justice, man. You just got to go look it up. It's pure cinema. But, you know, Peyz is trying to rewrite the script on how weak Caitlyn is during the mid game, and just trying to make use of the advantage that JDG really set up Peyz for in the early stage.
Yeah. I mean, my big concern this game, I really like that Maokai pick from Ale. Because if he just makes it his job to sit on Akali to distract Akali, there's no way SeTab can do anything to the Maokai. And if, as Akali, we're spending our time dealing with the Maokai, it means we're not in the backline executing the Karma, executing the Caitlyn. So, SeTab, he did a nice job of trying to hide himself on the approach, on the control ward, but needs to do a better job in the next fight if TT want to have the ideal setup for themselves. Because I think the plan is to make the backline so busy, you can't focus on the Zeri Lulu that's going to be peppering you, following up on that. So, SeTab being stuck in terms of what he was able to do in that fight. Again, I think the big part of why JDG was able to come out on top of that one, and now we'll see if that can continue, because we have a quiet part on the map at the moment. So JDG going to be able to kind of just pick up some farm and keep on scaling, something that I think is really good for JDG. Outside the Zeri Lulu, I very much favor the scaling of JDG, and I think overall favor the scaling of JDG because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quiet at the moment since Rift Herald's not spawning for another minute and a half. Dragon under 3 minutes. JDG just playing it slow and playing with the advantage of this Kate Karma mid, where they get guaranteed shove, and it gives them the opportunity to move with Shun into the jungle of ThunderTalk, try and push that vision line further, and it just gives them even more control and setting up for these future objectives coming up. The rest of ThunderTalk, their advantage, and it's going to be really on them to try and find picks where JDG are overextended. Thankfully for them, they've got 2 global tools in Beichuan's Pantheon ultimate and Hoya's ultimate as well on the Galio, but still on ThunderTalk to force the engages. And for JDG,
yeah,
it seems like they have decent ways of disengaging the fight.
That's where I like the Maokai pick, because I don't think that you can use those tools to go into that, and why I'm a little bit disappointed that we haven't seen ThunderTalk attack the Yone. Like, we saw them bleed out Scout's ultimate. It wasn't revisited. That's the side lane that you have to attack, and Pantheon, really nice in the Yone. I mean, the point and click's really valuable. You can also sometimes play around with catching the R if you don't want the Yone to run away. If you W on top of Yone, they're still able to catch the R at the right angle and make sure that he can't get the full distance from that. So I thought that would have been the game plan for ThunderTalk in the dead time, but we have just kind of seen the handshake of picking up these things, and as long as Scout's able to keep on farming, he did take the pit stop for the Hex Drinker before the Bork, so his spike is delayed. Again, a spike that I thought could be punished by Beichuan and TT, but they failed to do so, and I think it's kind of allowing Scout to get away with a little bit of murder here.
Yeah. Because once that Bork finishes, then it just seems like Yone becomes even more unbearable to deal with if you are ThunderTalk. There's a couple moments where I saw Beichuan drifting over towards the top side of the map and fading for a potential collapse on a Scout, but seems like they didn't want to pull the trigger on that. Rift Herald was spawning very soon, and so they are just saving cooldowns now for this fight. They're on full vision since JDG already took that crab. 5,000 HP on the Rift Herald. Shun is walking around the other Baron side wall. Is in range, can't threaten to steal. The eye is right before them. 2,000 HP. Teleport is coming in. Shun goes in. He steals the Rift Herald. And now they're going to turn the fight on to SeTab, who tries to go in. Gets annihilated by the Fate Sealed. Grand Star falls into the backline, but Beichuan gets stopped by the traps. Can he achieve even more? But there's no damage coming out from 1xN because they can't safely step up. Missing flashes forward, looks for the root on a 1xN. He's willing to give his life as 1xN finds one on to Scout, but they still trade it back. JDG rolling over ThunderTalk.
That was the fight that ThunderTalk wanted. They got Akali unspotted in the backline, got the Galio ult in there. The response from JDG was fantastic. The turn onto the Akali made it so SeTab, really the stud of ThunderTalk, for me the overperformer with 1xN, the newest addition, and why ThunderTalk are here. He was completely shut down in the fight. Peyz was allowed to free fire. Also, the trap onto the Pantheon, we talked about that earlier, but stopping any sort of re-engage from TT. This was beautifully played by JDG as a crew. Take another look. Yes, SeTab was able to sneak in, wasn't spotted, but after the steal from Shun, this is a decent start to the fight, right? Like, you're on Peyz, but no. A one-shot from onto SeTab. Second part of a Kaliar was never even able to be used. Meanwhile, well, we get back into the game, and missing is in the gray screen. Dragon still being taken. Health bar is a little bit low. Not sure if they can recall, but a beautiful fight from JDG in that one. They completely shut down the Akali, and the Caitlyn, with how far ahead she is, was able to out DPS, utilize, or be of more use than the Zeri. Really, really well played by JDG. That turn on of the Akali was beautiful.
Yeah. You're going to see in the lower third here that Missing was trying to get some vision down and just stepped too far into the jungle, but back to live. JDG are going to try to contest ThunderTalk on this third dragon spawn. Hoya's taking way too much damage, not going to live to see the light of day. I'm flying! Shun dies. 1XM is able to pop him, and the rest of JDG are now in the back foot. All throws out the ultimate, tries to buy some space for the rest of JDG to retreat. Scout takes up a lot of damage on the HP bar as well, but ThunderTalk still in prime position to contest for this dragon.
No, they can't.
Now it's up to him to step up. Oh, he might have stepped too far forward. He goes for the leap, the stun, but the trap stops him in his place. Gets the headshot. Peyz is totally fine, working with 50% HP, and he's still strong enough to force ThunderTalk off the dragon.
And the health bar is too low from ThunderTalk. I was surprised about the re-engage on the Peyz, but the Glitter Lance almost opened up enough space to get Beichuan in there. Wasn't able to immediately follow up with the stun because of the control ward in the brush. So JDG, a little bit of a sloppier fight. I know we talked about how well the last fight was played by them. Here we get to see a couple of the tools from ThunderTalk be really valuable. Importantly, the polymorph from Feather onto Shun. It prevented the cease and desist from being used entirely, as he was stuck being a little bunny rabbit hopping around. And that enabled TT to at least get a little something from himself. Still lose out on the objective, and that is going to be soul point for JDG. And a Hextech soul at that, too, can be very oppressive. But taking another look, and Hoya went down so fast, so early. That Justice Punch trying to get him out was actually caught by Shun, but the polymorph made sure that SeTab caught him in the end, and the follow-up Alway just being pretty far in. Really nice shuriken flip from SeTab ended up getting him out of the bait sealed from Scout. So he was able to get out, and then, yeah, here, again, because that control word's in there, Beichuan couldn't immediately follow up with the jump. That might have been important, because that could have been enough space to maybe even get Hoya involved and CC Peyz and get the kill. 1XM was also chunked out during that, so control word kind of an MVP there in the back half of that play.
Yeah.
As we return, Otacons at half, and JDG are looking to not contest. Who's going to get gold on the Scout and on the Peyz. Okay.
Yeah. Scout taking out the tier 2. Ala was already picking up the top wave and just answering. Looks like he's going to go for a base. And the rest of ThunderTalk committing to the Otacon secure it, but JDG are saying, okay, sure, you can take that objective. We're going to take 2 turrets, open up the map even further. And how much are ThunderTalk going to actually make use of the Otacon GAs that they've netted for themselves, because they are down 4,000 gold and staring down a Caitlyn that is Omega fed at this point. 2.5 items. Uh-oh. Okay, Peyz is fine. Things got a little dicey there. No cleanse, no flash for the Caitlyn if Beichuan got in range, but unfortunately he lost his flash in the prior fight as well, so no way to punish.
I like the fact that you highlight that. I think they just send it on the Peyz. Use the Otacon buff, punish the fact that Caitlyn's no sums. Like, if Beichuan literally R's under the turret and like they were going to use that to go after Peyz, I would have been a fan of it. Just try and attack them while they have no sums. That said, I think Peyz appropriately going to take a reset here. Always here to cover mid. So the siege is on, but we'll see how much ThunderTalk can get. Doesn't look like much. And Maokai brings great wave clear. So no real option here. But again, focus should be onto Peyz. If ThunderTalk can find this Caitlyn, while there's no flash, no cleanse, to keep in mind only a Shirelius here on the Karma, it would be a huge win for ThunderTalk.
Scout is trying to pick up this wave as the rest of ThunderTalk were maybe thinking about a dive. The rest of JDG just walking through the jungle. Ala is pushing forward, being the dedicated face checker, or the bush checker, I should say. That's the same thing. That's the things you got to do on the Maokai. No tier 2 boots, but that's okay. He's got 2 tank items in the Fimbulwinter and the Unending Despair, which is pretty standard for tanks these days, and all you need to be an effective tank fighting Menace is Scout picking up one last wave. They're going to force the dive. Beichuan goes in with the stun. SeTab, I don't think he really wants to extend this as JDG now look for the collapse, and there's Otacon GAs are going to be expended, but ThunderTalk really need to find something in this fight, but they're over-indexing forward. They find a kill onto Scout. but the GAs are getting popped, and there's not much gas left in the tank here for ThunderTalk. They got 1 kill out of it. I don't know if that was worth.
Yeah, I mean, they gave over 800 gold and the Otacon buff for it, so I'd say not even close to being worth. We did see, at least with the Panth point and click, how you're able to, you know, line up with Akali and try and find the Yone, but it almost feels like this is all too late, and the focus was onto the Yone and not onto the Caitlyn. Peyz doing a nice job of staying back, trying to hide himself from the globals, keeping himself really safe, and then, of course, this was an overextension. Otacon's about to expire, so ThunderTalk is trying to get any sort of value they can get out of it, but yeah, this fight was all JDG. Again, a lot of tools used before Peyz enters the fight, and that's exactly what you want if you're a Sunless AD carry, because he was able to pick up some solid gold, and guess what? Flash, cleanse, back up, and now Peyz is going to be that much stronger and that much harder to get to in the backline.
Yep. And just picking up that third item, the rapid fire cannon, so Caitlyn has even more range to play with, being able to pepper in some empowered headshots or even press the advantage if JDG want to continue sieging onto the base of ThunderTalk in the future. 40 seconds before Dragon Soul spawns for JDG. The window has closed for ThunderTalk to really punish Peyz unless he steps way out of bounds. And if I'm going to be honest, Matt, I think JDG are 1 fight away from netting themselves a series victory over ThunderTalk. They're already at match point, and this would put themselves 1 step closer to grand finals and 1 step closer to potentially representing LPL at the first stand tournament.
And again, we've seen Hoya really starve himself out this game to try and group. I don't agree with it quite as much. You have the TP, you have the ult, and JDG being able to respect it, and now having Ala be this big on the Maokai. I don't know how you can actually find and break Peyz in a comp where I thought the Panth Akali Galio combo would be pretty good at getting back there. Is okay, we're just sending it. TP's coming in.
Peyz. I mean, they got the cleanse out of Peyz, but he still has a flash.
Hoya got to run for the hills.
With a flank.
Hoya's dead. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That was his only way out.
Turn off the camera, and he tried to ult out, but he flashes over the wall.
Can they get Dragon?
JDG members, maybe.
They're going in.
ThunderTalk gonna just all in and try to bail him out and look for it. Peyz is the target, but Scout's got his back as SeTab doesn't have a way to reach him unless... Oh, I saw the vision he was looking for, but Peyz picks himself up a triple kill, and the rest of ThunderTalk, they're completely scattered and they're fumbling the bag. 1xN is doing the best that he can with the state that he's been given with, but it's just not enough. JDG 5-for-1 ace, and the Dragon Soul goes to them as well, and I think this is pretty much written in stone.
I gotta be honest, I've never seen a Yone peel for his AD carry the way that Scout's been able to do it the last couple fights, just finding SeTab. Some really impressive fights coming out of Scout just to make sure that Peyz is safe from the Akali. It was a decent idea at the start when Hoya TP'd in, but Hoya needs to follow up and go immediately. Because by allowing JDG to collapse on him, TT were so far away they couldn't respond. And instead of burning the dragon, they try and go for the fight. Beichuan again ults onto the trap, and then this from Scout, the Q3 to find the knockup into the R, buys Peyz the space to flash out with the Karma empowered Q as well to make sure that there was no chance that he could get found. I saw the vision as well from SeTab, but unfortunately he died before that second part of the ult could go off and find Peyz, and he was still too healthy to even survive that. So I think that TT, like, they had tools to try and sync up on this Caitlyn. They just haven't been able to use all of them at the same time, and now it's too late in the game where the front line, this Maokai is so damn big and so hard for them to deal with, and this Akali is just really falling off, especially with this build. It's a one-shot build, and if you don't find the one-shot, well, we see how valuable SeTab is in some of these fights. So it feels like some of the magic, at least in the upper bracket here for ThunderTalk, it's over. They're going to have a second life in the tournament, but today didn't exactly go the way they wanted to, and I gotta say, for JDG, each time we see them hit the Rift, they look a little bit better, just that much better, and that's gonna be really big if they want to have a chance of making first stand.
Yeah. Regardless, after this series, JDG are gonna take a hard look at that second game and just, you know, have a long talk and figure out, hey guys, we need to really coordinate our jungle and support, you know, synergy to make sure we're always on the same page. Peyz, no summer spells. Beichuan is going to send it. And I like the idea, but this is something that should have been done maybe 5-10 minutes earlier. SeTab now trying to find himself in the fight, but Peyz is completely taken out as he's forced out. Wait a minute. Missing is traded for Beichuan. and SeTab is somehow still alive, but Shun finds the Q flash, and Scout still has a collapse of his own, finds the fight, looks for all the damage, slicing through with the swords, and Peyz is still alive and healthy to contribute over the wall with a nice ace in the hole. JDG get another 5-for-1 ace, and it's into the game, and the series is over. JDG will take it 3-1.
Ala and Scout doing overtime, peeling for Peyz this game, and it was a beautiful looking thing for JDG as JDG continued to get on the right track as the LPL season continues and managed to put a little bit more respect on ThunderTalk's name than BLG did as they find the 3-1 victory.
Unfortunately for ThunderTalk, no magic upset like they did finding over BLG in the 3-2 victory, but I think for ThunderTalk, this is a good chance for them to take a step back and start thinking about some of the own weaknesses that they haven't really been exposed by other teams, especially during their group stage play at the start of the split. They still have another life going into the lower bracket. They will be facing I think the winner of IG Top Esports, or it might be the winner of BLG Weibo. I would have to double check.
It's
BLG
Weibo. Yeah.
So there is a potential, depending on how that BLG Weibo gaming series goes, there might be a rematch in the cards if BLG bounce back. But ThunderTalk gonna have some time to figure things out, whereas for JDG, they move on to the upper bracket. They still have 2 lives to play with, and they'll be awaiting the victor from the Ninjas in Pajamas and Anyone's Legend series.
Which is right after this, by the way. Running starts. We'll be hopping into that one very quickly. Yep. For anyone that's tuning in. But yeah, for JDG, 2 lives and 2 best-of-5 victories away from a potential first stand appearance. And I gotta say, I keep on putting the pieces together. I do really like the pivots they made in draft for games 3 and 4. That Senna Ornn was fantastic. And I think that's something that a lot of teams have to think about in this fearless best-of-5 meta. You need a game where you're going to bust out Enchantresses. There's just not enough tank supports to go around to like make it for the entire series. So a Kate Karma setup, being able to execute that with a Maokai top, that was a really good pairing and a good scenario for JDG. And even having the Senna Ornn, you get to threaten that now for the rest of the playoffs. The fact that could come out. Again, really good comp to use that in when you have the Viego and 2 strong, tanky solo laners that need to set up like the Jason Rise. I love that draft from JDG in Game 3. So, yes, Game 2 was a bit of a stinker, but I think that JDG still showed a lot of positives that they can now threaten the rest of the bracket with as they move forward in the upper bracket.
Yeah, and for JDG fans awaiting to see how well this team comes together, I think when we first talked about their mishaps in Demacia Cup, we try to ease fans' expectations and say, hey, listen, this is the first time these 4 members are coming together on a roster in this group. Yes, super teams always have the prestigiousness of having star individual talent and players that can play at such a high ceiling. But I think we've seen in history of League of Legends esports that super teams are not always meant to, just sync up so well at the beginning, because you have conflicting ideologies about the game, you have conflicting ways about how players want to move on the map, or what resources they're willing to give up, or willing to or not willing to give up, I should say. And it's always a long journey. I'm very much in the camp that super teams need time to actually come together, and not the way where people think, oh, if you put these 5 players together and they're all super good, then they should just glue together and everything's, hunky-dory. No, like, things take time.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with JDG getting 1-2-3 Cancun in Demacia Cup, and I think we're seeing that with JDG slowly bring things together here as games continue to look a little bit better for them, and that was a nice one. You can see the damage that Peyz was able to put down that game. Those traps, that Caitlyn, it was indeed on point. I think it's a pretty easy player of the game for me, handing that one off to Peyz, even though I do want to give Scout an honorable mention for how well that he peeled and played those fights. Really tough to do against an Akali as Ione, but those R's and Q3s were finding SeTab and shutting down what has been a monster pick for SeTab so far this series.
Low-key, I would say that
Scout Pog? Okay.
No, hang on. I would be okay with Peyz getting Pog, but I think Scout should get MVP of the series.
I would go with Ale, or Ala, but that's just me.
I mean, Ala was damn consistent throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
But I think in the moments that like every game that like there needed to be something done, Scout was there to help make that moment. Obviously, Ala had the very huge Renekton play in game 1, and it still was, you know, useful and impactful on the Kennen in game 2, even though his jungler and support chucked the game for them. I think game 3, Ala was just gifted a free lane because they sacked so many waves on the Sion, so Jace got super propelled ahead. But for me in that game, like, Scout was super crazy on the rise and was the one like forcing all the flanks, and I still think that in the overall series arc he was still useful in game 1. I don't know, that's just kind of like my argument, the fact that Scout was going from super carry rise and then peeling Yone, like that's not a adaptation you see a lot of players make.
No, I think that's a good shout, and the Rise game, he did go pretty Super Saiyan. So, yeah, I mean, regardless, if we're, you know, talking about who we thought the player of the series was for JDG, I think that's a good sign, right? It shows that JDG has some good things going for them, and we can ignore the fact that we definitely aren't bringing up Shun or Missing in that conversation, because those are where the issues are. But hey, it did get better throughout the series, and it will get better, hopefully, as LPL continues and these guys continue to get reps under their belt.
You know what? Yeah. The one thing I can at least say to Shun's benefit is that he's still a damn good Nidalee player. You know?
Yes, he is. That's true. The Vi was fine too, so he did his job that game. But yeah.
Yeah. He found a couple Q flashes that were really good. You know, but if he locks in Nidalee, I have no concerns whatsoever. It's a dub. That's a guaranteed dub. You know, or at least it will not be Shun's fault that game. But I do genuinely hope that Shun and Missing are able to level up the consistency together, because it really does seem like the last missing piece of what makes this JDG team go from pretty good to one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team, when it was put together, people looked at this and was like, this squad should be able to threaten BLG for potential championships in the LPL. And it does feel like JDG are getting closer and closer to what it would take to take down the top dogs in the LPL, whether that's, I mean, at the moment, it's not BLG. It's I would say, probably the winner of the next best of 5, as I would probably have them favored in the JDG coming up. So pretty excited to have it upcoming banger here, as we have the back-to-back best of 5 night in the LPL.
For anyone that is staying up through both best of 5s, you're a trooper, and I appreciate you, and I love you, and that one of them is already in the call with us, aka our producer Chippy, who is manning both nights, but or both games, I should say. And okay, player of the game,
that's an easy
was
one.
Peyz. Yeah, that was expected. I don't know if we're gonna get a MVP series graphic either. Question mark.
I don't know. We'll see. Regardless, nice game here from Peyz. I mean, from minute 1, he was absolutely just kind of blistering, smoking people. And I will say that the swap from ThunderTalk was necessary to get the Zeri Lulu out of that lane. But Peyz, of course, having the prio turret to hit in bot lane, getting, first brick at, I mean, pre-14, and walking out, I think it was a 930 Untoss. That's pretty impressive if you are Caitlyn. Because that thing also, you got to stack the thing up a little bit. You're going to stack it even faster. It's kind of like what happens when you get Roa early. So yeah, really nice to see Peyz.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Peyz for the positioning he had in fights, but also shout out to his team for like doing such an immaculate job of peeling. They made Peyz's life so much easier in this game to thrive on the Caitlyn and still finding ways to contribute in these fights, even when he was not in auto attack range. So once again, congratulations to JDG for moving on to the upper bracket. For ThunderTalk fans, do not despair. There's still a chance in the lower bracket, as we'll find out what lies in store for their fate on their potential rematch against BLG or their matchup against Weibo, depending on how that series plays out. I think that match will be on Tuesday? Question mark. Well, we'll see. Anyway, we're going to do a caster swap because me and Cubby are checked out for the night, and we're sending in our next caster rotation for anyone's Legend versus Ninjas and